Hello, everyone. Sef Alchemist here. Thank you very much for tuning in. I appreciate it. Today, I want to share with you a story that explains karma and how karma works. The reason why is because I can't put enough emphasis and stress on karma and how important it is for spiritual growth, for ascension, for enlightenment. It is something that's overlooked by a lot of people. And I myself was overlooking it for the longest time. And I realized its importance, and that's why I am trying to share it with you more and more. Because karma and karmic retribution governs your life, basically. It governs every single thing. And sometimes it's hard to explain these concepts to people because everyone thinks they know what karma is. But karma is a Sanskrit word that means action. Action that has a consequence. Cause, effect, action, consequences. So every action you do in your life will have a consequence. Every thought, every intention, every small action you do will have its own effect or consequence. And most people will claim that they understand this, but no one really gets it and no one applies it. It is like when someone says, yeah, I need to start eating healthy. I need to start eating healthy. Yeah, eating healthy is good for you, but no one eats healthy. People just say it. They say it over and over, and they say it all around the world. But the people who apply it are very, very few. Karma is the exact same thing. Everyone claims to know it. Everyone says, yeah, karma, my karma this, my karma that, but no one really applies it. So let me share with you this beautiful story, and you're going to understand what karma is just from this one story. And this is going to be a story of the Buddha, Siddhartha Gautama, the enlightened one. And this is about his clan. The Buddha belonged to a clan that's called Shakya. And this is the story of the clan of the Buddha, the Shakya clan, and how their karmic retribution resulted in their annihilation. How their karmic retribution resulted in their destruction, and the Buddha couldn't do anything about it. Karma is a serious thing. You can't really mess with it, and no one can. Not even the enlightened one can do anything about it. So the real name of the Buddha is Siddhartha Gautama. That's his name, Siddhartha Gautama. The Buddha is just a label that describes him. Buddha means the enlightened one. Okay, remember that. So anyone who's enlightened can be a Buddha. The reason why people say the Buddha, because when they refer to him around the world, he's known as Siddhartha Gautama, one of the main enlightened people that have existed. But there are many other Buddhas as well that have lived. So Buddha means the enlightened one. His real name was Siddhartha Gautama. But in his clan, he was called Shakya Muni. Okay? Muni means the sage of the Shakya clan. So the Buddha was highly revered amongst the Shakya clan and other clans, neighboring clans, regardless of their clashes, regardless of the fights that were going on between them. All the clans, including the Shakya clan where the Buddha is from, respected the Buddha and revered him because he was a man that devoted his life to spirit, devoted his life to enlightenment, and he achieved it. So the kings, the rulers, even though they hated each other, they were enemies, but when the Buddha was there, everyone respected him and everyone adored him. So this is how the story goes. And this is a disclaimer. Throughout history, There has been many versions and many sources about this story, so not all of it is 100% true, but the gist of it, the moral of the story is beautiful, and it teaches us about karma. So don't get caught up on the details, because there's different versions of the story where details can differ. So it has been said that the Shakya clan, they considered themselves as descendants of a divine lineage. They viewed themselves highly, and they thought that they were very noble people. And they wanted to keep it that way. There was a king that ruled a neighboring clan, and this king wanted to combine powers or forces with the Shakya clan, because he thought that it's going to be beneficial for him and for everyone in that area if he marries the daughter of the ruler of the Shakya clan. So he went and he asked the hand of the daughter. The Shakya clan, considering themselves of pure divine lineage, they didn't want to mix with the other clan, with the other empire. But there was a dilemma. That king who wanted to marry the daughter of the Shakya clan ruler, he was forcing this deal. He was not asking. When he came to ask the hand of the daughter, he said, "You're going to have to accept, because if you don't accept my offer of marriage to your daughter, I'm going to use force. And I'm going to do things that are not going to be good for your clan. So you have to make your daughter or one of your other daughters to marry me." And I'm not mentioning names here because the names might confuse the story, the whole story. I'm trying to keep the story as simple as possible, because I realize that if I mention the names, and the names are a little bit complicated to pronounce because they're not English names, and I myself might not pronounce them properly. So for those reasons, I left the names out of the story, but you can find the names of each person of this story if you look it up. So the Shakya clan decided to accept the offer, but they were sneaky. Instead of giving the king one of the daughters, they picked a random girl from the Shakya clan who was a slave. She was a slave. And they dressed her up as a noble, as a royal, and they offered her as a daughter to marry the king. So they lied. And the king from the other clan ended up marrying her, thinking that she's a noble royal from the Shakya clan. So time have passed. The king and that woman had a son together. That son grew up, and his father, the king, sent him to the Shakya clan to learn about the traditions and the rules of the Shakya clan, because it's his maternal side. So he sent him to his grandfather, the ruler of the Shakya clan, to learn about the politics, about just the culture. So when the son went, there was a problem. Everyone in the Shakya clan knew his true identity. They knew that he was the son of a slave woman, that he's not actually royal. So when he wanted to integrate with the Shakya clan culture and society, they kind of refused him. They were treating him as a slave. They were not nice to him. They were not kind to him. The kids didn't play with him because they considered him as a slave, not a noble, not a royal. Even to the point where there was a temple dedicated to Buddhism and to the Buddha. And when the kid, the son, went there to play or to pray, he was kicked out of the temple because he wasn't deemed from a divine lineage. And he was told, "You're just a slave, you're the son of a random slave, and you're doing a disgrace to the Shakya clan by being here." So the kid was told these words. He went back to his father. He was so devastated, he was sad, and he made a vow. What kind of vow? A vow for revenge. He told one of the ministers, "One day I want to become a king, and when I do become a king, I want to take my revenge on the Shakya clan for treating me like this." This hatred and this revenge started when he was a kid. Many years have passed. The kid grew up. His father eventually passed away, and he became king. And here's what happened. As soon as he became king, he wanted to march towards the Shakya clan with his army and take over them, because his hatred and revenge was still living with him. It actually grew stronger throughout the years. That hate, that revenge became much worse than it was before. The minister kept reminding him, now you're a king, you're supposed to take over the Shakya clan for how they treated you. You can't allow them to disrespect you and tell you that you're a slave. It's time to take over them and destroy them. So the king gathered an army and he started marching towards the Shakya clan. The Buddha heard of this because the Buddha is from the Shakya clan. He heard the story. He heard what was going on. Knowing that the army was marching towards the Shakya clan to destroy them, the Buddha went on the path where the army was going to pass. And he sat there with his followers. Why did the Buddha do so? Hopefully to stop the king from marching towards the Shakya clan. The Buddha was hoping that he could stop the king. The king eventually reached where the Buddha was sitting. He saw him and he paid his respects to him because Buddha was revered by everyone. And that king, his father, respected the Buddha more than anything. So the son followed his father's steps and also paid respect to the Buddha. And the Buddha told him that this revenge is only going to lead to destruction, not only for the Shakya clan, but for also your clan as well. And it is not recommended. It's not a good thing to do. And he added, that's also my clan, and I don't want them to die. And what they did to you, it's unfair, but this is not the way to fix it. This is not the way to go about it. You can't just go and destroy some other clan just for that one reason. And you're a king now and you have a lot of power. So the Buddha tried to peacefully tell him to not do so. The king, hearing the words of the Buddha, because you're sitting in front of an enlightened being, you can't resist. So the king accepted and he marched back. He didn't attack the Shakya clan. He said, the words of the Buddha were so enlightening, I can't go against these words. They're pure words, they're full of love. Maybe I should not attack the Shakya clan. So he went back and he didn't attack. And you think the story is done here, but it's not. Some time passes and the minister reminds the king again of revenge. He tells him, I know the Buddha told you not to attack the clan, but do you remember how they treated you? The amount of disrespect that they gave you? How can you let them slip? They need to be punished. You need to go and attack them again. The king fell for the words of the minister. He started feeling all of these emotions of hatred and revenge, and he just wanted to take his revenge again. He wanted to go and attack. So he gathered his army again, and he started marching again towards the Shakya clan to destroy them. The Buddha heard the news again, and he tried to intercept him again for another time. And he went towards where the army was marching, and the history repeated, and then the king met the Buddha again, and the Buddha told him his beautiful words again. And you can find these words if you look them up. There's records of what the Buddha told exactly the king. And the Buddha convinced the king again to not attack for a second time. So the king marched back to his kingdom and he didn't attack the Shakya clan. But then something happened. The Buddha started realizing that this is not going to stop. And he told his followers, he told them, unfortunately, I'm afraid this is the last time I can stop the king from attacking my clan. The followers of the Buddha, his companions, were shocked. They're like, but enlightened one, we can stop the army. You're the enlightened one. You have otherworldly powers. And one of the followers of the Buddha, he was a very gifted psychic magician. He was able to do magic that no one could ever do. like things of the movies, literally. But the Buddha said to his companions, I'm afraid even our powers cannot stop this army from attacking. And when they asked why, the Buddha answered, karma is why. The karmic retribution that the Shakya clan has to pay, nothing can stop it. So the king went back to his clan where he rules, and some time has passed, and the minister reminded him of the vengeance again. He kept reminding him. And this time the king was more furious than ever. He was more ready than ever to just annihilate the Shakya clan. He just wanted them dead, all of them. He just couldn't wait anymore. And he said, I don't care what the Buddha said. Even though he stopped me a few times before, right now I need to take my revenge. I don't care. So he gathered his biggest army with elephants, with warriors, and it was bigger than the previous times. And he went straight forward to attack. The Buddha and his companions heard that the king and his biggest army are marching again. And the Buddha said, unfortunately, I don't think I can stop him this time. And then his magician companion, the one with superpowers, told him, but dear enlightened one, let me handle it. The Buddha told him, okay, what can you do? He told him, I can transport the Shakya clan, all of them, into another realm, into another dimension. The Buddha said, you transporting the Shakya clan to another dimension will not free them from their karma. Then his gifted companion said, how about I can fly them in the sky, and they can be in the sky and then they won't be seen by anyone. Then the Buddha answered, you transporting the whole village, the whole clan to the sky is not going to free them from their karma. Then he proposed a third suggestion, and he said, how about I surround the whole village with a huge cage that no one can pass through. And the Buddha told him, you think putting the village inside a cage will free them from their karma? Then the Buddha added, none of your powers, or even my power, can stop. And even though it hurts me and it hurts my feelings and they're my people, but no one can stop them from paying back their karma. No one. And that's how karma is scary. For some of you who think superpowers can solve everything and magic can solve everything, here I am telling you, sometimes that's useless. It can't solve anything at all. Even if you have the craziest powers that no one has ever heard of. So that king with his army reached the Shakya clan. They obliterated them. They killed everyone there. Everyone. They killed even the women, the children, everyone. It was horrendous. It was atrocious. It was a massacre. It is known as a massacre. It's not even one army defeating another one. It's known as the massacre of the Shakya clan. And the Buddha lost everyone from his clan. It is unknown if some people were able to escape. Those are details that are unknown, but most of everyone was massacred in that clan. The king was finally satisfied. He thought that he has his revenge. Not too long after they went back to their kingdom, the Buddha had a vision, because the Buddha has superpowers as well. He had a vision that the clan of the king was going to be destroyed within 7 days, starting from the day the Buddha had the vision. So eventually word reached the king, and his ministers and messengers told him that the Buddha saw that the clan, that our clan, is going to be obliterated in 7 days from now. The king was freaking out because this is the Buddha speaking. And when the Buddha says something, it's real, it's true, it happens. There is no question about it. Because even he respected the Buddha and revered him. So when he heard that the Buddha saw that the kingdom is going to be gone in 7 days, he was so scared. And he gathered with his ministers, with his consultants, with the royals, and they decided to displace everyone to a different location because they were afraid that they're going to be attacked by another nation or by another kingdom. So they displaced everyone for safety, and they were there for a few days. The king saw that nothing was happening. The ministers saw that nothing was happening. Everyone felt safe. Everyone felt good. And they're like, we're not going to be obliterated because many days has passed and nothing happened. The king ordered for a huge feast to be thrown that night for everyone to celebrate that they beat the Shakya clan and the fact that they're still alive, because a few days have passed and nothing happened, even though the Buddha foresaw their destruction. So the king wanted to celebrate, and everyone was partying and celebrating and feasting. And it just happened that the day when the king ordered the feast, the celebration, was the 7th day. They realized, oh, today is the 7th day, nothing happened, we're still alive, we're going to celebrate. So that night, when they were feasting and celebrating and partying and dancing, a huge storm came out of nowhere. Thunders in the sky, lightnings, and heavy rains. The storm hit so fast, and it took everything with it from that clan, including the king, his ministers, his family, his people, everyone that massacred the Shakya clan, everyone, in one night. And it was the 7th day, as the Buddha predicted. So what's the moral of this story? The moral of the story is that bad karma will lead to negative consequences. In this case scenario, it was vengeance. The boy was treated bad, he was treated as a slave. Here's the karmic retribution, vengeance. When vengeance and hatred were applied towards the Shakya clan, karma had to be paid back again, and then the king also lost everything, including his life and the life of everyone in his kingdom. So the moral of the story is to always generate in your life good karma, good habits, good intentions, always. Because when you start the cycle of bad karma, it doesn't end. Like with the story of the Shakya clan. Both clans were dead and gone from the map. They were just obliterated because of karma. One karma was caused by humans, by the king and his army, and one karma was caused by nature. So how to end karma? How do you end it? You end it by not generating negative behavior or hatred or vengeance. Be forgiving. Be the bigger person. Sometimes it might be hard for you to forgive what some people did to you, or the bad things you've gone through because of some people, or because some people treat you bad or took your right, or just, it could be anything. Be the bigger person. Forgive. That's why all the sages of ancient past, they talk about forgiveness. It's for this matter. Because if you don't forgive, you're going to do something bad that's going to generate bad karma for yourself. When you do bad karma only generates another bad karma that's going to come back to you. So be forgiven, be forgiven, be forgiven. And the Buddha tried to warn the king, and it didn't work because he was full of hatred and vengeance. But that stemmed from his childhood that the Shakya clan caused.
It is even said in some other versions of the story that the massacre of the Shakya clan actually resulted from something they did in their past lives, where they were a village near a lake and they poisoned that lake. Some version says that they poisoned that lake and killed everything in the lake. Some other versions say that they fished every fish from that lake and ate all of the fish in that lake. But it has something to do with a village living near a lake and causing harm to that lake. Them massacring that lake in their past lives resulted in their massacre in the next life. So negative karma keeps you in these loopholes and you never get out of them. And you always have to pay back the bad karma you cause. And that's why no one can get enlightened unless they pay back all of their karma. And the Buddha himself said that. No one is going to reach enlightenment unless they pay back every bad karma they have caused in any lifetime. You have to pay it all in full. Think of it as debt, financial debt you have, credit card or loans or mortgage that you need to pay in full. I hope this story gave you an idea on how karma works, how even superpowers, magic, even being enlightened cannot modify or change karmic retribution. Bad karma will always have to be paid back. Karma runs on its own. It's a system that the universe runs automatically. It's like a self-running software. No God governs it. No deity governs it. Nothing governs it. It's always working on its own, based on energy and action. So what are your actions today? Are they going to generate good karma or bad karma? Always think about that. All right. So I hope this story helped you understand the concept of karma. Let me know in the comment section. What do you think about this story and about karma in general? What is your understanding of karma? I'm curious to know. It is something very, very important for a spiritual path, for growth, and for transcending this cycle of reincarnation. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.